Facebook is one of the most dangerous online platforms to ever exist. But you probably knew that. What you may not realize is just how many avenues of danger exist. The platform is said to handle 2.5 billion pieces of content and over 500 terabytes of data each day over its numerous services. Some content is as simple as a family photo. Others are highly produced, expensive works that garner Facebook creators millions of dollars. But of course, with every piece of content that is deemed good for the platform, there are thousands of horrifying, eerie, and illegal posts that have been thrown out. But some slip through the cracks. And it turns out that some of the worst offenses have come from the company itself. We're gonna take a dive into the good, the bad, and the ugly unknown of Facebook. Figure out how some creators make millions, how other individuals wreak havoc, and the dark future that the platform will fall into. In my last video, I talked about some of the worst and often creepiest content on YouTube, that being children's videos. But like, I know YouTube, I watch YouTube all the time, so none of it was really surprising to me. I wanted to figure out a different platform. Look, I'm a younger dude, the Facebook audience has been getting older and older every year. I don't really use Facebook at all, so I wanted to know what was going on with it. I haven't really heard much about the Metaverse since launch. I mean, even the YouTubers who make Metaverse videos, although really entertaining, they're just using VR chat. Anyways, we'll get into Metaverse stuff later, but compared to YouTube, Facebook is just like I don't even know. Look, YouTube is a video sharing platform, right? We all know that. They structure their algorithms around video, they build their business around video, they regulate videos, and that's all they have to focus on. In contrast, the amount of services provided by Facebook, Meta, is unbelievable. Here's a list of the services Meta offers, and almost every single one of these services has like a million sub-services to offer as well. And all of these services combine for not only video posts, but audio, image, text, and whatever other media. It's increasingly difficult to regulate all of this because smaller things like text posts will just get swept under the rug. They'll fall into obscurity compared to larger image or video posts. Just like with YouTube, human review is not the most efficient, but it's the most effective way to accurately rate posts on whether or not they're suitable for the public eye. They go through thousands of posts per day, each with increasingly gruesome topics, some outright odd, and some that reveal answers to real-life horror stories. We'll get into the creepy stuff in a bit, but let's just start at the surface. As a younger dude, I want to recap on just what the heck is going on with Facebook as a whole. I just want to catch up. I mean, the more I look into it, the more I realized I'm so far behind. This congested mess that often hides creepy things under the hood is so congested because, to my surprise, people still use it for both general daily usage and for giant businessy operations. Lots of people, and they make so much money. To quickly just get it out of the way, I was having a listen to Graham Stephan's Iced Coffee Hour, where he had No Jumpers Adam22 on for an interview. Aside from the insane amount of money Adam was making on YouTube, Patreon, and other sources, one revenue stream that seemed to be making up a much larger slice of the pie than I would have ever expected was Facebook.
Facebook has been insane. We're making a couple $100 grand a month on Facebook.
I don't really have to tell you why that's absolutely insane. I'm sure you probably figured that out yourself. That much money. And No Jumper isn't even close to being one of the biggest creators on Facebook. I did some research and it seems like Facebook pays creators on average around $8.25 per 1,000 views. Without even really doing any more research, I know that that's way higher than what YouTube pays out for 1,000 views on average, which I would estimate is around 1/3 of that on Facebook for a video around 8 to 10 minutes. But that's the thing. To make this even crazier, this is allegedly Facebook's average for videos around 1 minute in length. If we take a look at some of Facebook's larger creators, such as someone like Nas Daily or Dhar Mann, we can see how things start to escalate fairly quickly. Let's take a look at this Dhar Mann video. A clean little 113 million views, why not? With some napkin math, let's just say that Dhar Mann is making the $8.25 per minute per 1,000 views. It's honestly probably more than that because he's super family friendly and doesn't swear and has a super happy message at the end of every video. Anyways, we're now at $932,250 off of a single 6-minute video. And yeah, wait a second, hold on, 6 minutes? Like I said, this $8.25 estimate is based off of a video that's around only 1 minute long. I can only wonder how this begins to multiply when videos start to exceed that length. While not every single one of the 4 videos Dhar Mann posts every week is a banger that reaches over 100 million views, it's still safe to say that this page has some cash to spare. Like it says itself, they aren't just telling stories, they're changing lives. And yeah man, let me tell you, lives were definitely changed by making these videos. I mean, I don't blame the guy, I kind of want to try this myself. You should too. Getting Getting views on Facebook is quite simple actually, much easier than YouTube. YouTube is so monotonous compared to Facebook. You gotta go on the homepage and scroll a little bit and find a video you like, look at the thumbnail and the title, click the thumbnail and the title, and even then you might have wasted all that effort just to find a video that you might dip out in the first 30 seconds. On Facebook, the videos just show up. They're right there on your feed auto-playing, and they're often there because your friend shared it with you and all their other friends. Your friend shared it, so you'll probably like it too. So you keep watching. Luckily, it's already auto-playing, so you don't even have to do anything. Many Facebook creators often burn captions into the video as well, so you don't even have to go through the effort of turning your volume up. You ever watch one of those 10-minute TikToks? Probably not. There's no way to skip to the parts I like. They fill up the whole screen. There's nothing to do. My thumb is just itching to spin the wheel again. Facebook gets rid of all these potential problems. There's a clear timeline so you can scrub through the video, and the screen is just filled with other junk so you can multitask to keep your little dopamine hits running smoothly. You see why these videos are getting so many views, right? MrBeast gets a lot of views on YouTube. I mean, we all know that, but he also posts on Facebook, which is a whole nother rabbit hole in and of itself. MrBeast gets a lot of views on Facebook. So much so that some kids even know him as the Facebook guy instead of the YouTube guy. Apparently, what happens is that many kids have parents who don't allow them to go on YouTube, as YouTube can be very unsafe and unregulated. Sure, what that really means is those parents don't go on YouTube themselves, so it's unfamiliar to them and their kids shouldn't be using it. But Facebook is a place these parents frequent, so they let their kids have free range on the Facebook app to watch whatever content they desire. It's a bit weird to me that parents will often restrict YouTube but allow Facebook. I mean, I guess they just don't really understand what's going on. A lot of people of parenting age probably just believe that Facebook is still just their friend-to-friend social media app. Sure, they see the Dhar Manns and the MrBeast pop up on their feed every so often, and they understand that the creators like MrBeast exist on there, but that's really it. Facebook for them is a place for their friends and happy-go-lucky, family-friendly content creators. Well, I'm sure you guessed that, just like with anything else on the internet, giving your kid unrestricted access to your phone so they can watch a MrBeast video is probably not a good idea, because it's then time to go down the rabbit hole and discover some of the worst that Facebook content has to offer. Starting off with text posts. Eerie and less uncommon than you think. People sharing their thoughts is of course one of the main reasons one would post on Facebook. Text is such an easy and quick medium to communicate across. Criminals, in a state of panic or breakdown. Some find their minds racing and don't know where else to dump their thoughts. Others wish to brag and broadcast their crimes to the world. Such is the case of Dakota White, who posted some quick thoughts after committing the murder of his good friend, detailing his plans on how to carry out the gruesome crime. Similarly, Derek Medina wrote a quick post detailing a horrific turn in his relationship, and after his wife, wrote her an obituary accompanied with a picture and posted it on his Facebook page for the world to see. There are, of course, the more cryptic posts. Cooked up in the sick minds of the criminals, they begin to make these series of posts for fun, acting as somewhat of a puppet master in their last run before inevitably getting caught for the crimes they commit. Philip Schwab wanted to get a reaction out of his audience after his girlfriend Kaylin. Philip's mind went into turmoil, and the first people to hear about it were those following him on Facebook. While there wasn't much rhyme or reason to his post during this time period, the next night, the post got even worse, and days later, people who knew the couple personally noticed that Kaylin was nowhere to be found. The crime scene lined up with his Facebook posts, a play-by-play of for the public to witness. Sometimes it isn't just a single post that users can stumble across, but a whole profile. There exist multiple profiles on Facebook that, for the longest time, struck fear into the users of the site. Their origins and meanings still remain largely unsolved. At first glance, the page of Ori Chef may not seem very harmful. The profile would go on in comment sections of news articles and other posts, where they would blabber on about seemingly nothing. This might just look like a boomer Facebook user who doesn't know how to properly construct a sentence. But after translating some of the conversations that Ori took part in, things start to look a bit more grim. She frequently claimed things like wishing to be cremated and lots of other stuff to do with death. But it starts to get even worse when diving into her friends list. Here, Facebook users discovered that all of her friends seemed to be near replicas of her profile, possibly dummy accounts. But upon opening some of these friends' pages, you could find mentions of Ori's wish to her own children, and unsettling gory pictures of animal guts and other things, the likes of which I cannot show on YouTube. My guess is that someone made a bunch of these accounts to try and reach as many people as possible. Their further intentions are up for debate. There are probably an infinite amount of creepy and illegal things that often go swept under the rug on Facebook, but anyone can find them if they look hard enough, or if they're given unsupervised access to the app. But that only accounts for the stuff that actually makes it onto the public site. Normally text and images are a bit harder to filter through because they're uploaded so frequently to the site. It's really video that can cause lasting damage to any unfortunate individual who happens to stumble across it. Luckily, many of Facebook's checks and balances can siphon through a lot of the content that isn't safe for human eyes, although this comes at a cost. I talked about this a little bit in my last video, but I wanted to delve a little bit further this time, and that's the aspect of human review. A lot of content is filtered through an algorithm. It's getting pretty easy for computers to recognize things that are blatantly bad and should not be seen by the general public. But the way an algorithm figures out the difference between good and bad, the way an algorithm thinks like a human thinks, is it has to be taught by humans. And even then, finding a perfect balance in machine learning algorithms that filter through video, audio, and text is just difficult in general. The stuff that rises to the top on YouTube usually relies on the uploader having a semi-decent video camera, one where you can actually decipher what's going on. There's a bit of a barrier with YouTube. It's not a big one, but it's there. Facebook, on the other hand, is very accessible. You can do significant damage with low quality video, images, or even text, and some of it slips through the cracks, evidently, as we've just seen some examples of potentially dangerous and creepy content. So anything that's a little too low quality or cryptic for an algorithm to get a firm grasp on is then passed over to a regular, reasonably minded human being. Anyone with access to an internet connection can upload whatever they want to Facebook, resulting in these human review candidates witnessing some of the most horrifying content ever made.
I just think about all the animals all the time.
See, Facebook outsources this review work to smaller random companies that basically sit at a desk, click yes or no on a large playlist of flagged videos, and determine whether they're suitable or not for the general public. I'm not going to mention exactly what the content reviewers see in these types of videos, as this video on YouTube will surely get flagged if I do, but from what these interviewees are saying, these videos and posts feature some of the most despicable acts by a human being that one would have a hard time even imagining. It's a job that leaves employees traumatized, unable to sleep, and afraid of the world around them. And to top it all off, the working conditions are horrible. They're overworked, having to reach these unrealistic quotas that destroy their whole day, underpaid, and not supported at all. I mean, you'd think that this is one of those jobs that prioritizes the well-being of their employees, but no. Apparently, the limited amount of time these workers have with therapists is pretty useless. It's basically just a pat on the back and a kind of get back to work thing. These people are here to protect the users of Facebook. They're here to make the site usable for the users. You'd think that Facebook would ensure that the people keeping their platform safe are in good health and paid handsomely. Well, I mean, no, I guess not. I mean, come to think of it, why would they care about the safety and privacy of their employees, when we know all too well that they couldn't care less about the safety and privacy of their user base? They're finding new ways every day to squeeze your personal information out of you by any means necessary. Now, when he's put on the spot, Mark Zuckerberg says he cares about the end user. Facebook tries not to collect all your data and leak it. It isn't that bad. They're sorry when it happens, but that's only when he's put on the spot. It's pretty obvious once you start thinking about it, but of course he doesn't really care. Oftentimes he will take a very joking, nonchalant approach to accusations about privacy. Facebook and Mark know that it's really no big deal. People will get mad, whatever, they'll get a fine, but that's really nothing in comparison to what they're actually worth. It's a business expense, it's like a tax write-off, and then they'll just continue with their business. Facebook is free because the amount that you reveal about yourself makes up for the real cost. Despite a lot of what I said in this video, Facebook's user base is actually starting to die off. Literally. My generation that doesn't really care about Facebook is already making up the majority of the online user base as a whole. Their outlook of infinite growth is really not that infinite, as they've started to see a bit of a decline. Only a small one, but that's really all it takes for them to start panicking. So they need to make a change. The Metaverse isn't something Facebook wanted to make. It's a sign of desperation. Facebook has a history of being a little late to the game on how people communicate. They started off with text, but people loved how Instagram did photos, so they bought that. Then they saw how people started to do really all their communications and updates in picture form with Snapchat, so they took that. Now it seems like people communicate and find massive growth in short form video, so they took that and a bunch of other things. But it seems like Facebook is obviously becoming a bit tired of being the company who's one step late elevate to the next thing. They want to be the kings of the next format. What's the next step up from watching a video? Well, it's obviously being in the video yourself. Welcome to virtual reality, but not just any virtual reality that you've seen before. No. This is virtual reality. With the metaverse, they're working on two things that kind of go hand in hand: virtual reality and augmented reality. You can communicate, travel, get a job, make money, buy a house, buy useless little knickknacks for your house. We all do it, and now you can do it even better. Listen, the outside world is awful right now, right? So learn how to write code and make a living virtually. Have anything you want happen in the most beautiful landscapes you can dream of. So what does this metaverse look like? Look, they're trying to make this all fun and like yippee, but think about it. Usually VR is meant to fulfill your wish to live out an insane and otherworldly adventure that you couldn't possibly achieve in reality. All those funny games where you can find yourself in the most insane situations achieve that. But now with Meta, it's like, what are we even doing here? I don't want to buy a house. I don't want to work for V-Bucks so I can buy a house that isn't even made out of wood and screws and drywall. Yeah, the surfing and the ping pong looks pretty cool, but like, why am I sitting at a desk in Microsoft Teams, dude? I want to be in Fortnite. So is that really the plan? Why are they actually making these VR headsets in this new world? To take a step back, Facebook loves your data. They want so much of your data that they can predict what you want to buy and where you want to go and who you want to be. And then they're going to take all that information and sell you things that you need before you even know it. But I mean, everybody knows this. To know all this kind of stuff, they really need a lot of data, more than you might think you give away. But now they're running into a problem at the roots. Facebook was just a software company. To get their data, they needed you to use a third-party piece of hardware that another company makes and that they really have no control over. Companies see that people are starting to have a problem with their privacy being taken by apps like Facebook. Businesses and products sell because they solve problems. So companies like Apple, Google, and the various Android developers are starting to implement extremely easy ways to just turn off the transfer of your data to Facebook, usually just with the flip of a switch or the click of a button. Now Facebook is just truly in shambles. They don't have any updated data about their users. They're showing the wrong ads to the wrong people at the wrong times, and nobody's buying anything. People are getting bored of the app because it's showing them content they don't like and selling them things that they definitely don't like, and then just leaving. And then advertisers are leaving because nobody's on the platform. So they're trying to fix it. Programmers are trying to rejig the algorithm with the little data they have, but it'll just never be the same. So guess what? They just pivoted. In comes the metaverse, software that's completely made by Facebook or Meta that only runs on hardware also made by Meta. Now we're getting somewhere. Why compete with Google or Apple when you can just make a completely new thing? So Meta wants to follow suit and build hardware. And because they built the hardware, they're going to control everything about the device. They aren't going to make any of those silly little data blockers that Google or Apple has implemented. They don't really care if it's ready, and they don't really care if it's fun. They want to do it, and they don't want anyone else doing it alongside them. You're not going to be using this thing made by Meta running Meta software. It's a whole new ecosystem that's only tied to restrictions made by Meta, which are not very restricted. It's an entire world owned by Facebook, and you are living and functioning within it. Meta will go back to the golden days of Facebook, where they collect as much data as they want with no restrictions, even brand new information that's never been accessible before. As the technology evolves from the simple headsets and glasses, the company will likely be able to collect biometric data from you in some way. The way you feel, the way your limbs move, it'll all be there. If you think about the amount of data a company could collect on the World Wide Web right now, compared to what it could collect with the metaverse, there's just no comparison. Imagine a crime within the bounds of the metaverse. Does identity theft now mean that someone can just hack and access all the information related to you? Name and date of birth, social security number, those are all too easy. They'll have your measurements too. Are those underpaid and mentally destroyed content reviewers gonna get a little promotion to become the next metaverse cyber police? We just talked about how these extremely advanced algorithms are having trouble deciphering good and bad with text and image posts. Now they're gonna have to deal with human interaction. I doubt any technology in the near future will have a firm grasp of the intricacies of two humans, or even worse, a group of people interacting with one another. We're dealing with things like body language now. No computer program will be able to accurately decipher 100% of what's good and bad within the metaverse. So human reviewers will once again have to step in at an even larger scale. What kinds of things will they see next? Look, despite everything I just said, it is interesting. I'm really all for the advancement of technology. Like, I like technology. If you're watching this 15 to 20 years from now, maybe I just sound like one of those guys who were like, the internet's never gonna work, it's just a fad. But there's just like so many things. It seems impossible to get right. We'll see what happens. I might be completely wrong, but this headset, while it might provide some fun, it just seems like another key to unlock and dive right back into the rabbit hole again. So anyways, buy the Metaverse headset. It's coming in October, I think. Hold on one second. Okay, so I just finished editing this video. I actually made a second video on a second channel because I found a bunch of funny stuff while doing the research for this video. If you want to check that out, link in the description, link right here, I think. Anyways, hope you like this video. I'll post more. See you later.